There's a world where Don Fall needs to watch this video and think critically and say, oh wow, this is actually happening. Not oh well, it's oh wow. And there is no CrossFit in the future because the one who's running it is Sporty Beth.
The CrossFit community sucks.
Yo! I haven't done a journey in a while, so I'm going to take all of you guys on a journey. And the destination that we're going to be going towards is what's happening over at CrossFit right now. Why everything is the way it is at this current point in time, and I got it figured out. If you followed me on Instagram, maybe you've seen some of the breadcrumbs that I've just been kind of dropping. The first breadcrumb that I dropped had to do with Tommy Marquez. He started all of this for you guys.
Would CrossFit benefit more from just hiring their own media team again?
Yes, but also like the top down needs to show the interest and the drive and the vision for that.
If the people at the tip top and the people controlling the money ultimately decided they wanted to, you would have to make sure that the right people are in place to lead that team too. Because I've said this before, CrossFit had 50 people at the games on the media team. And what did they produce? There is like this constant like political struggle behind the scenes of people like fighting for their little fiefdoms that I think gets in the way of the bigger picture. So you'd have to make sure that the right leaders are in place, and it will probably involve bringing new leaders on the media side to make sure that they're going to actually execute on this vision.
He's somebody who has been on the inside of CrossFit. He's seen it all. You've seen him on the update show, and now he's kind of on the outside, kind of on the inside, and it kind of seemed as if he was miffed at the end of one of his Talking Elite Fitness episodes the other day. He says that CrossFit probably needs new leadership in order for the company to move on forward. And then I'm like, ding, 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 ding. It's affirming some things that I've heard from various sources everywhere. It seems as if everybody knows what the issue is, and you're going to figure it out in a second too. Yeah! I've just been waiting for somebody to say something about this sort of thing in the public eye. Because remember, all I do is I regurgitate stuff and I present it for you guys to see, and then you can create your own opinions on those things that I'm presenting for you to see.
It helps me sleep.
I'm adding this after because it's a very important piece of information that I forgot to plug into the video. So bear with me, because on March 8th, there was a Reddit thread that was deleted by the user, but that's okay, that's why screenshots exist. It's put up in the CrossFit Reddit thread, and it says CrossFit LLC faces internal turmoil. Employees demand investigation. A group of 30 plus current and former employees and contractors of CrossFit LLC have serious concerns over two employees, Haynes and O'Hearn. They believe that these two employees are acting contrary to the company's vision and values, creating an environment of mistrust and intimidation. Their behavior is described as rude, unkind, and self-serving, with allegations of favoritism, chronism, I don't even know what that means, but it's a word, and personal vendettas taking precedence over company growth. There are also additional concerns that they are outlined in the emails. Now, and like I said, this thing has been deleted, which means that whoever put it up in the first place is a giant baby. But one of my favorite responses in the entire Reddit thread, which remains up, was somebody saying, wait, CrossFit has internal media? Because that was funny. But the reason that this is important, and I told you all I do is I shuffle around and give you guys information that I've been picking up over time, is because of what Tommy said about a fiefdom.
There is like this constant like political struggle behind the scenes of people like fighting for their little fiefdoms that I think gets in the way of the bigger picture.
Now, that's a crazy word. When you look it up, it means it's in the state or domain of a feudal lord. Anything as an organization or real estate owned or controlled by one dominant person or group. When you take that Reddit thread, along with what Tommy Marquez is saying right there, along with everything that they're about to package and give to you in the remainder of this video, it paints a very, very pretty picture for what could potentially be going on in the CrossFit space. That's all I wanted to add. Back to the show. The thing that I got from a couple of sources, because once I get one, then I ask somebody, and then they've heard it, and then I'll release it, so then all of a sudden I never have to backpedal. Because if I get it from a couple of people who don't know one another, that means that they didn't talk and create the freaking super source. It's like playing telephone. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I can tell everybody then. And that thing is that the CrossFit Games documentary from the 2023 season has been completed. This is important because it should be out in about the same amount of time as every other CrossFit documentary, which is somewhere within the month leading up to the ensuing game. So if 2022 season documentary is done, it should be coming out before 2023. This is the 2023 CrossFit Games documentary, which was done by a new team. Everyone's like, oh my God, the new team sucks.
Word on the street is...
But it didn't suck. They got everything done the way that they should get it done, but I'm catching word that it's not going to come out until after the 2024 games.
I couldn't believe it.
And who wants to hear about anything that happened in 2023 after 2024 is done? I'll tell you what, not me. It's a complete waste of money at that point.
Oh well.
Because it's hype for the next CrossFit Games. The 2023 documentary is the hype for the 2024 games. It doesn't matter how it's done. What it's doing is kind of giving people the wherewithal to go, oh, this is coming on next week, next 2 weeks, next month, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It's just confusing if it comes out after. Who knows how much that thing costs? I would would have to venture to bet it was at least $500,000. And if it's at least $500,000, that's like what, 110 affiliate fees that you guys are paying for, because guess where CrossFit gets their money? Level 1 sales, and it gets it from affiliate fees. So if you're doing either of those two things, if that was paying for the documentary, which is coming out after the CrossFit Games, but that's not the only thing you're paying for. Because where else does CrossFit get money? Sponsors? Sure, sponsors. But you figure GoRuck is trying to pay the prize purse of the 2024 CrossFit Games, which they just released. It's the exact same thing. It didn't go up. It hasn't gone up in a couple of years. Oh well. But I continue to harp on the fact that the CrossFit YouTube channel has not put up a video in now 40 days. Don't make excuses for them, guys. Don't do it. Why would you make excuses for them? This entire video is about why stuff like this is happening. Why is the documentary out late? Potentially going to be out late because they still have a chance to release it. I feel like I'm forcing their hand to release it. It's like, guys, you made a video on it and we have to release it. What is Tommy Marquez talking about? Well, he's talking about, he actually said it in this video, 50 people were sent to the semifinal.
50 people at the games on the media team? Like what did they produce?
The final week of the semifinal. And then there's also various other semifinals going on. So there's people everywhere and they're videoing everything. They got their cool fancy cameras and they're all on the floor and they're getting the cool angles. So I'm gonna do some math for you. Let's say over the course of the 3 weeks, you're averaging 50 people sent all around the world to gather all of this content for the event that you're putting on. The event that, again, the affiliates are probably paying for. But this is about the content creators because we aren't getting any YouTube content. 40 days of no content. Let's say that on average, it's gonna cost $800 in hotel rooms because you're gonna spend 4 nights there, $200 a night, wherever it is that you're staying. You're gonna put 2 people per room. So let's say we can save some money there by putting 50 people into 25 rooms. And then over the course of the 3 events, you're spending $60,000 on just room. And then you're gonna think about travel. Probably got another $60,000 in travel. That's a $400 round trip ticket over the course of the 3 semifinals. So it's 150 by that 400 equals, again, 60,000. And then you gotta pay the people because they don't work for CrossFit. They're contracted individuals. Figure you're gonna pay them, I don't know, $1,000 a week. And then you got 50 creators and you're doing this over the course of 3 weeks. That's another $150,000 on top of the 60. On top of the 60, you're looking at $270,000, and that is 60 affiliate fees.
Oh well.
So you're paying for the semifinals, and then you're paying for the freaking content creators to go out, and you're paying to not get anything put up, with the exception of this snatch video that they just put up onto the CrossFit Games channel. Now there's a comment on there in response to my comment, which is that you haven't seen a single snatch, nobody knows what this is all about, nobody cares about what these athletes are doing. Because if you didn't watch the semifinals, you don't know what this is. If you don't do CrossFit, you don't know why this is important, you don't know if this is cool, you don't understand the story about it. You're just watching a whole bunch of people do portions of a movement that you don't understand, doesn't register. And this thing cost probably $1 million to put out at this point, because it's the one thing. The more content you create, then the cheaper each piece comes to be. So if you put out 1 million pieces of content, it's like $1 per video. That's fantastic. But they have only put out one, so that's $1 million video right there in my eyes.
Wow.
And Tommy Marquez started this, and he started this by saying that there needs to be a change in leadership. The individuals that I have heard lead the media team over at CrossFit are called something Jonathan Haynes, and Emily O'Hearn. I've got 3 videos that I've offered personally to CrossFit, each of which they were all turned down, and it was by one of those 2 people. I don't know which one, but it's like, hey, no antics, no Hiller. I just want good content for the CrossFit.com page. One of those videos was Sevon's kid, Avi, redoing a clean and jerk workout, and they're like, no, we're not gonna use it. Like, all right, don't use it, but you also haven't used anything in the past 40 days, so why not? Like, what's the issue? But it was free. $1 million of people sent to all the semifinals and no content for the CrossFit community versus a free video, which I ended up using. In order to have a job, you gotta have a boss that hires you for the job. And the big daddy over at CrossFit is Don Fall. Don Fall's best friend or whatever person's name is Annette Reeves, who he brought with him as he was hired over at CrossFit. Annette Reeves is the CPO. And I don't really know what a CPO is, a Chief People's Officer. It seems kind of made up to me. And if you want to hear what that is, she can say it for herself right here.
All right, Annette, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Amanda. I'm excited to be here. Here I am the Chief People Officer, where I lead a team of about 35 people. A chunk of that is recruiting. We also really focus on employee experience. What is that experience from the first time we talk to them as the recruiter to when they, have a career here to even when they leave? We get to touch that full cycle, myself and my team, which is just a great experience and really a passion of mine to, again, take that talent from good to great and great to greater.
Apparently her job is to bring people from good to great to great to greater. Got it. I don't see that happening. Now, unless she's bringing people from bad to worst, from worst to average, from average to good to great to great to greater, then it's just too long of a spectrum. There are people out there who are at minimum average, and you can make them good. And from what I've seen right now, and from what everybody can see with their own two eyes, that somehow Don, Annette, and whoever over at CrossFit in the hierarchy of hiring cannot see for some reason when it comes to this Haynes and this O'Hearn chick, is that they can't do their job. 40 days of no content, wasted money, a missed documentary. They're not even average. And that can't bring them from good to great to greater. But she says that that is her role as the chief people's officer. This entire interview is done right before she was hired at CrossFit. She's working somewhere called Roots. She was there for about a year. Before that, she spent about a decade at Facebook. I've listened to this thing 3 times now. I'm over it. I don't want to listen to it anymore. But I do got to show you this part.
But now I've scheduled an actual formal meeting to ask them a question because I didn't really. There's something missing. We need a word for that in the English language of that.
I have a word
interaction.
for you.
What
It's
is
called unstructured skill building.
That's 3 words in that. 3 words.
Like, for example, today, I use a PC and a Mac. On the Mac, I didn't know how to take a picture of my screen. I literally opened the conference room door and said, hey, who can tell me how to take a picture on my screen, right?
Shift Command 5. Next question, Annette. I've probably taken 10 billion screenshots in order to create these videos. It's like, oh, screenshot, a screenshot, a screenshot. Look, I just took a screenshot.
But if I was at home, I would have had to stop. I would have had to look it up. I would have had to, figure it out. And that engagement, that unstructured skill building is what is missing, along with unstructured problem solving and unstructured joy.
Now, I did leave that part in because this person who is kind of in the upper echelon over at CrossFit, that being Annette Rivas, is talking about something that she implements with her team, something that she learned in her time over at Roots during the pandemic. She said that it's important for people to be together, and I can agree with that, but I don't really agree with the methods in which she's explaining it here. I need to learn how to take a screenshot of my computer. I'm going to use it as a building piece with my team to say, hey, how do I do this? But what I hear is that she's building a reliance upon one another. No one's learning how to do anything. No one's learning how to do anything on their own. Annette's telling the potential O'Hearn and Haynes that run the media team over at CrossFit that they should be doing this sort of stuff, and all of a sudden one of them needs to send somebody to go make a video, and they can't do it because they don't know how to do anything. And that's the whole issue. They don't know how to do anything because of something as simple as this. Now, you might think that that's a reach, and you might think, hey, is this what the entire video about? Of course that's not what the entire video is about. Let's keep listening.
I'll go way back to my public accounting days. I loved it. I loved serving clients. And the only reason I left that business was because I knew they were never going to make a Black woman a partner. Imagine, and I can remember the day, Amanda, when I realized that, when basically I was like, well, I was told you're only going to go so far in this business.
Okay, I actually don't see anything wrong with that, because if there are people who are telling you personally that you can't do something based upon the way you look, then yeah, you should probably leave that place. Definitely not a good thing. I just can't imagine that there's people out there who would tell you that. Hey, you're a chick, you can't do this job. Now, of course, there are jobs out there that there are going to be better suited towards men. Like if I wanted to go chop down that big freaking tree right there, and I had the choice of hiring a man or a woman to chop down that tree, give both a man and a woman an axe and say, which one's taking down the tree? I want to hire the dude. Now, if the dude shows up with an axe and the chick shows up with the chainsaw, I'm probably going to take the chick with the chainsaw. Because 1, it's going to be awesome to watch the chick take a chainsaw to a tree that big. And 2, she's probably going to be done 3 times as fast as the dude. Maybe 10 times as fast. I don't know. Maybe I'll get another tree and I'll race them and I'll pay them both. I don't know. But no, I don't blame Annette for not wanting to work at a place where she can't move up based upon the way she looks. It sounds ridiculous.
It started from that perspective of really knowing that there was a ceiling for me. And although I knew it growing up, because, TV and all that, my father taught me I could be anything and do anything as long as I worked hard enough.
That, to me, is that generalized, everybody's parents tell them they can be an astronaut or a doctor. You can be whatever you want to be if you put your mind to it. Is that what you think? And yeah, to an extent or degree, but right before that, she said the important thing.
There was a ceiling for me. And although I knew it growing up, because, TV and all that.
She knew there was a ceiling because of the stuff she knew growing up. I want to pound that into your heads. The stuff she knew growing up. She knew it growing up on TV and whatever. TV. Thankfully for my dad, he said I can do everything, but I did hear the stuff on the TV.
And so that was really the first experience where I had to stop and say the color of my skin It wasn't even the woman part, it was being Black.
That was both the color and the sex is going on here. And yeah, like I said, she should go work somewhere else if there's a zero shot based upon the people above her who aren't being cool.
Was going to stop me from getting to where I wanted to go. And so it sent me on that different journey we already talked a little about going out in industry. But it still was always harder for me in order to really break through. And I think part of that has to do with people see you and see a person of color, and they already have their own stereotypes in their mind.
It's got nothing to do with color. Zippo, zero to do with color. It can have to do with body weight. When I was younger, I helped my uncle, my dad's brother. He was building a house in our neighborhood, and he was putting up this chimney. And it was my job to help this guy move the bricks up so that he could build this freaking huge chimney in our neighborhood. And I remember I was working with this guy named Al. Al was extremely overweight. If somebody looked at Al, they would have thought he had no shot at building this chimney. There's no way that he'd be able to withstand the heat. There's no way that he'd be able to maneuver the bricks all day. And it's because he had one of those t-shirts that looks like it's a medium and the belly's out the entire day. And if he lifted up his shirt, he probably had a tan line right where the shirt was sitting because it never covered his belly button. But Al was a monster. Al put the entire chimney up. And to this day, whenever I go and look at my uncle's house that we put up when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, the thing looks freaking fantastic. That dude Al was 100% aware of the stereotypes, but he did not let it stop him from doing his job. He just built the best chimney he could build. And guess what? He still got hired to freaking put the chimney up. And I believe that he still works with my dad and my uncle to this day on doing various masonry type activities because he was just a man of extreme value. And the way that I was raised, as evident right there in that example, you don't judge people based off the way they look. You give them a shot.
And I may do something to even reinforce that stereotype, which in their mind is bad. And in my mind, it's being a leader. It's being push forward. Instead, I would be called aggressive or unfriendly. I had one when I was at Facebook, someone said to me, well, Annette, you smile too much, so then people don't trust you. And I said, you're saying that because you don't really know me and you've got some stereotype in your head of what a person of color should be. And we had an honest conversation around that. It was my manager.
Al throws down an entire Little Caesars pizza for lunch all by himself. I asked if I could have a piece. He said no. I really, really wish to you that I could have a picture of Al because he would wear the white undershirts with the holes in it and there's sweat and gross stains everywhere. And I could sit there and I could say, Al, you eat too much. The same way that somebody went to Annette, you smile too much. And I would just be like, well, I don't care whether or not you think it's making me trustworthy because these people trust me. The same way that Al built an awesome chimney. If you just do things that make you trustworthy, it doesn't matter what you do when you smile. And also, it's not your job to control what those people think of you. Just do what you're gonna do. Al was gonna eat the pizza and he was gonna build the best chimney he could build and then everyone's gonna be happy. And that you smile. You should smile. Do your freaking thing. Don't worry about what they think. Crazy talk.
You know, I've always had to work a little harder. I've always had to push a little farther. Now, I'm so lucky that I have the foundation, Amanda, from my father who said you can do anything, you can be anything.
Now, it's weird that she brings it up again because I haven't really cut this at all. It's just one streamlined thing where I'm talking between it, but she brings up her dad telling her she can be anything twice.
More times than not, I'm the only one that looks like me sitting around the table in tech. More times than not, even on the leadership team at Facebook, I rose to be a vice president there of HR business partners. I was the only one with my manager, and when I left, she didn't replace me with a person of color.
The other thing that Al did with my family was he helped run my dad, my uncle's car wash business. I would see him there all the time. Now, my cousin Gianna one day was also running the car wash, and I can guarantee you that Al didn't have one thought go through his head. It's like, well, what? They didn't replace me with some giant pizza-eating Mason?
How dare you?
I can't believe you didn't replace me with some massive dude who could crush a Little Caesars pizza on a minute's notice. And why does it have to do with places of power? It's like, it shouldn't matter whether or not it's a car wash or whether or not it's the chief people's officer over at CrossFit. Like, why does it really matter who replaces you? Why does it have to be, to go back to the tree chopping down example, like I hired the chick with the chainsaw. Let's say for some reason the chainsaw went out and then I hired the dude with the axe. Would it be insane because he was just the next person on the list? Like, well, he responded to the phone call and the chick's chainsaw went out. I needed the tree down. I don't have to hire a chick to take the tree down because I hired a chick the first time. It sounds ridiculous.
In those moments, you know that there are some things, but that you have to be strong and push through and really have to have your own confidence internally because you're not going to get it from those around you. Because again, there's no one at the table that looks like you or thinks like you, right? Diversity is not the color of our skin only. It's really how we were raised in so many other pieces.
That's why I keep on bringing up her dad versus the way that she heard about things in the public as she was growing up on TV and whatnot. Why is it that she keeps on bringing up that her dad said she could be doing anything? And why does she have to say the diversity and inclusion thing has to do with more about how you were raised? Because apparently within the world in which she was raised, she witnessed things such as ceilings.
There was a ceiling for me, and although I knew it growing up, because, TV and all that.
And if she saw things such as ceilings and she's continuously bringing up the fact that people don't look like her around her, wouldn't she be trying to put people into positions where she could put them into those positions where they're metaphorically breaking through that ceiling? Just right through the ceiling. Right through the ceiling.
Do you think that DE and I function at businesses are doing enough to help build up, to help change this, I guess, in lack of a better term?
So that's a two-part answer for me. I think that they are doing enough to bring awareness in, and I do think more people of color are getting hired than before. As far as bringing that talent is, part of it is quotas, quite honestly, where you won't hear, but truly it's like, this is what we need to do to target how many and bringing in more people of color.
We need people to work at CrossFit Media. We need people to work at CrossFit Media. We have a job. I don't know what the jobs are. I just know that the jobs aren't getting done. And I know that likely the person who is either keeping people with their jobs or hiring the people for those jobs just said right there that she believes that quotas have to be met.
And I do think more people of color are getting hired than before. As far as bringing that talent is, part of it is quotas, quite honestly.
CrossFit's hitting their quotas, but what they aren't doing is producing stuff. There's no content. And the people who are producing content regularly are messing it up. That's what I talked about the other day on the Service Games post. That's what I talked about during the CrossFit quarterfinals when you put up a terrible suggestion for scaling and a time cap. Because if you're hiring people not based upon their merit, but based upon the way that they look to get like some sort of quota filled, that's where you get that sort of an issue, and this is likely the reason for that issue.
So I absolutely think it's helping that. What I don't think it's helping is inclusion and acceptance.
I feel like I'm listening to a fairy tale book. The puppy who lost its way.
The puppy who lost his way.
Right? Because I think the I part gets missed by just pure definition of what does inclusion mean? It means you have to create an environment where everyone feels safe. I don't think that's happening. I can tell you from many of my own experiences, that's not happening. The expectation is I'm going to be recruited and be like all the people around the table.
And again, I go back to the upbringing part. Like her dad said she can do everything, but her dad didn't teach her to be comfortable in her own shoes. It's just a confidence thing. You either are a confident person or you are not a confident person, and you have hired a confident person who is going to get along with everybody, or you are not. If for some reason I'm in the middle of downtown Chicago at 1 o'clock at night and I'm walking down an alleyway and I hear something break behind me, I'm not going to feel that good about it. I'm going to be uncomfortable. It's not the alley's job to make sure that I'm not there at 1 o'clock at night. It's my fault for being there. And potentially it's even my fault because I feel a certain way when there's a bottle breaking behind me. Maybe a cat knocked something over. But it's just called being a freaking human being, dude.
Right? That I'm actually going to change versus people at the table understanding the differences and accepting those and blending with those. It's always meant that I've got to accept the difference and then be, different than myself. And to me, that is where I think it's falling short.
Now, this is the most ridiculous thing. CrossFit has a team.
Hello, CrossFit affiliate owners.
It is now not up to this one individual to figure out the way that the CrossFit team works. It's up for CrossFit to make sure that this person feels accepted while coming into the team. What? What is the point of having a brand? What is the point of having a movement if everybody within that movement now needs to change to make sure that the one person feels okay? Let's say that, perfect, Sporty Beth. Let's say Sporty Beth wants to work at CrossFit. Now everybody needs to change the way that they think and do everything because Sporty Beth now wants to work at CrossFit. She thinks it's okay to be morbidly obese. She thinks it's healthy to be morbidly obese. Annette's job is to make sure that everybody is going to make sure that Sporty Beth feels comfortable working at CrossFit.
We are who we choose to be.
It's Sporty Beth's job to feel comfortable coming into work at CrossFit. If she wants to be morbidly obese, that's okay. You can go do that. If you want to work at CrossFit and you have the merit to work at CrossFit, sure, Sporty Beth, come and work with us. But it most certainly is not the job of the group to make them feel included. It's the group's job to not be a bunch of dickheads. Sure, I can say that. You don't have to be mean to her, and you shouldn't be mean to anybody. But what is this?
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on what business might look like in 5 to 10 years? Do you think that there's an opportunity to really start to change that mindset of, I love that you're expected to change to be like everyone else. Do you think that, do you see an opportunity in the future where this might be different?
So I don't think it's going to be that different unless the world changes.
Oh, CrossFit's not the only thing that's got to change for Sporty Beth. It's the world that must change for Sporty Beth. Everybody needs to accept the fact that all of a sudden it's okay to be hugely overweight. Oh, you know what? Not only do you have to be okay with it, but you have to also now think it's healthy, which it isn't. You all have to change the way that you think because you got to agree with her because now she's part of the world.
I do think it's going to take a lot more than business putting those programs in place. I actually think it's going to have to start in schools and education because we actually need to change how people are raised.
Now, I don't know anything about anything, but isn't that called indoctrination? You're trying to turn everybody into something? That doesn't sound good. Annette, the CPO at CrossFit, Don's right-hand chick, thinks that the world needs to start changing at the level of the school, the child. I think that everybody should be the biggest, baddest version of themselves. And if everybody does that, then there's going to be this awesome new world at the end of the tunnel. There's nothing worse than being the same as everybody else. Because what happens is if everybody now just listens to these people who aren't all that well, like Sporty Beth, then everyone gets worse. And it's evident that CrossFit has been getting worse. Nobody can show me one what? Dave Castro the other day made me put out, like, where are you saying good things about CrossFit? Like, where is anybody saying any good things about? Where is it? You show me something.
You didn't get to that table with the mindset until someone taught you that, right? Whether it be society, whether it be your parents, whether it be where you went to school. And so actually that foundation needs to change at home before people even get to be grown-ups in business for things to truly move forward.
Ding, 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 ding. And somewhere earlier in the video, I brought up I saw this growing up, and that's what she's talking about.
There was a ceiling for me, and although I knew it growing up, because, TV and all that.
What Annette saw growing up was the glass ceiling, the thing that she was very well aware of during her time over at Facebook. It's the thing that she's likely implementing now that she's in a position of power over at CrossFit. She's keeping people in positions of power that she thinks needs to be there based upon the way that they look and not the way that they perform. And what ends up happening is what everybody with two eyeballs is seeing, which is what started with Tommy Marquez.
There's this constant political struggle behind the scenes of people fighting for their little fiefdoms that I think gets in the way of the bigger picture. So you'd have to make sure that the right leaders are in place, and it will probably involve bringing new leaders on the media side
to the tune of a whole bunch of money lost to the semifinals. I don't know what is going on to the private investing equity people, private equity investing group. How on this green earth can they possibly think that it's good to have this person in charge who is keeping these other people employed, and all it's doing is ruining the entire funnel? The affiliates are getting nothing! Nothing! Which is actually what they were promised, but they were getting way more before. This chick's probably getting paid $250,000 a year, keeping these people employed who are wasting upwards of millions of dollars, not getting documentaries out on time, and who knows what else. It's like a family tree, a who's who of why people are working over at CrossFit, and it starts with Annette. And actually, it might even start with Don, because he's the one who brought her over with him. I am just literally finishing the puzzle that Tommy Marquez has laid out for everybody. It's the thing that I think that everybody wants to say, but I'm in a position where I can't get fired for this. That's why I started the YouTube channel, to talk about the stuff that needs to get talked about. There's a world where Don Fall needs to watch this video and think critically and say, oh wow, this is actually happening. Not oh well, it's oh wow. And if Don Fall can't see this with his own two eyes, then maybe he needs to go too. And for some reason, it's the private equity people that are putting all of this into motion, then we're all screwed. And there is no CrossFit in the future because the one who's running it is Sporty Beth.
I'm gonna say it, the CrossFit community sucks.
And that's all I gotta say about that. And Hiller, out.
Please smash that like button, no one touches there now.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it!